This is a speed paint of a fan art piece I did for Miraculous Ladybug. It was inspired by Miraculous Ladybug fan fiction. If you haven't checked her out on YouTube, I highly recommend her. She's super talented, super sweet. I really love listening to her stories while I work on crafts and on drawing. And if you hear any noises in the background, it's me crafting again. I do apologize for that. But let's talk about art stories today. Yay! As some of you know, I started drawing when I was about 12, 13, got more serious about 14. I've even taken some art classes during my lifetime. And unfortunately, I do not have the stereotypical clickbaity, my art teacher hated me story. None of them really hated me or said anything about what I was doing in terms of the style I was going for, from what I remember. But maybe because we didn't really do like human people for the most part, like we did more abstract stuff. The only thing I kind of remember, one of my high school teachers said something about my neck being too thin, but that's about it in terms of like the anime style. But they didn't think of me as like the second coming of Picasso or Da Vinci or whatever either. I was more or less an average art student. I made good grades, but it was one of those things that all the teachers were like, well, art is subjective, so as long as you try and show improvement in your work, you still get an A. So in a way, it was like a stereotypical floating class, even though I did take it kind of seriously. There was only a few times that I can recall that any of my art teachers ever said anything to me at all about the work I was doing. In high school, I had two teachers. One was a younger woman. I'm going to call her Miss New Age. Miss New Age, she was really nice. She had us do like a collage and mostly like still lives and chalk drawings. And one time when we were doing a still life, she came over to me and said, now Jillian, you need to break this up into more basic shapes, not start out with the detail, and you need to make your drawing bigger. It's okay if it doesn't capture the whole still life. You need to fill your page. Which were all valid points. Like, I'm not dissing that at all. Now, for my second teacher in high school, I'm going to call her Mrs. Masterpiece. Mrs. Masterpiece, in her class, it was a bit more advanced. Now, there were more normal kids like me who hadn't had much art experience. And then there were kids who were more, where they had been drawing all of their lives or had had multiple art classes. And she tried to cater to our skills and what we wanted to learn, which I thought was really nice. Now, we did have a handful of projects that the whole class was expected to do in the same sort of materials. Like, one time we did a fear project where we took computer pieces and this pretty big sheet of poster board. I think it was poster board if I'm not mistaken. And I did falling specifically out of a plane, and I had done like the space sketch. Most of our bigger projects we had to do like a sketch in our sketchbook and have it approved and then do the actual project. And she had approved my sketch in the sketchbook, and I started doing like the circles and the whatever to get the pose right for the person, because I still wasn't really confident in my art skills. Even today, I would probably still have to do circles and stuff. And that's just how I work. Maybe someday I won't have to, but for now I still do. And she came over to my table and looked at mine, and she's like, Jillian, what is this? Pointing at the circles. And I said, that's so I get the pose right. I'm still not very confident in drawing human figures. I promise I will erase the circles, and add in more details later. She's like, no, I think it looks cool. Make it look like a mannequin. I was like, okay. And I did. And I still don't feel like that piece looked very finished. I'm not even sure if I still have it. If I do, I'll share it on my DeviantArt. Come check me out there. I post almost every day. But anyhow, she was really nice most of the time about anything she said about me or the art that I did. There was another project where we did cutting with foam. Like, we cut this like foam piece. If y'all do this with like the electric cutters, be outside, be in a well ventilated place. It is not safe for your lungs otherwise. I would like to get back into that sort of art. I really like the 3D art. I don't feel like I'm very confident in it yet, but I try at least. And anyhow, we were cutting these pieces and almost everyone else was done, but I hadn't quite finished mine. There was one other girl, I'm gonna call her Mary Jane for like reasons. That's why I think she was on. At any rate, me and Mary Jane were the only ones left in the entire class that wasn't completely done with our foam projects. And this was like considered one of the bigger projects. That was a bigger portion of our grade. I don't remember now what portion it was, but it was a significant amount, like maybe like 30%, maybe a little bit more. Due to that and me wanting to do a bigger piece with like a lot of details, it was taking me a lot longer. Mine was like an angel with like detailed wings, and like we were supposed to cover it with like tissue paper, and I was doing like this technique where I was tissue paper painting, like making the colors blend in together and that sort of thing. Now, the other girl, Mary Jane, she was literally doing a ladybug, and what she had done, she took like this, if I remember correctly, she literally took this round piece of foam, cut it straight in half, and was proceeding to paper mache it with the red tissue paper, and was adding the black bits. She was just taking her sweet time with it. And even the teacher was like asking her why she was taking so long. Now, she never said anything to me about how long I was taking with the project, even though I was self-conscious about it. And now she would tell me from time to time, like, oh, Jillian, it's looking so good. Like, this is looking awesome. This may be your medium with this foam and the tissue paper. Like, she was going crazy. Like, she was treating me like she did some of those advanced students, which she didn't, like, really favor the advanced students, but she showered them with more praise or more advice from time to time. Not like a crazy amount where it would feel like favoring, but enough that I noticed slightly. Not that I was jealous or anything. And like, even the students who were with Mary Jane and I at our table were like, Jillian, you're doing a great job. with the angel you keep going at. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody else except for Mary Jane is done. And they're like, yeah, but Mary Jane's is like really simple. She should already be done. I was like, oh my god, you shouldn't say that about other people. But, you know, whatever. There was like this texture project where it didn't have to necessarily be 3D per se, but it had to incorporate textures. And I decided I wanted to do a kimono, and so did Mary Jane. And Mary Jane wanted to use like coffee filters for hers, and she was gonna make it the size of, I think, like a poster board. She was gonna like make it look like it came from a shadow box, or that was gonna be in a shadow box, if I remember correctly. And Mrs. Masterpiece had gathered up some coffee filters, so had Mary Jane. And I took like some fabric that I had, like literal textured fabric, and made a Barbie kimono. And like I brought in my Barbie kimono in, like, Barbie actually dressed in it, with like her hair in like the geisha old timey fuchsia type style, with like beads into it and stuff. And everybody was going goo goo gaga over mine, and no one really was paying too much attention to the coffee filter kimono. Like, it didn't even really look like too much like a kimono. Anyway, at some point I might do a part 2. Let me know if y'all would like to hear more stories about art class. I have a bunch more, some including Mary Jane. At any rate, y'all have a nice one. Please subscribe. Goodbye.